Hi, thanks for joining us. I'm Sarah Seidem, Managing Editor of Groups Today.
And I'm Haley Gerwig, a media sales consultant with Groups Today.
Today we're going to be talking about expanding into student travel and some of the considerations that go along with that. Because people across all industries these days are sort of pivoting and figuring out how to expand their horizons and their business offerings. Group travel professionals are no exception to this. So how do you know if student travel is right for you? There's a good amount of considerations to keep in mind if you are thinking of undertaking it.
Yeah, obviously one of the biggest concerns is safety. So that's always important, but especially when you're dealing with other people's kids, it's something to keep top of mind. So ensure the area that you're traveling to has been thoroughly researched. And then in addition, just keep in mind where the nearest hospital is, emergency facility, or first aid stations at all along your route.
And it's also really important to be mindful of students with allergies, sensitivities, dietary restrictions. This comes into play at all points of your trip, especially when planning meal options. Ensure that there's other options available, or if they're able to bring their own snacks, that's huge.
And it's really important too to have emergency contact information for everyone that's on the trip.
Oh, yes, yes. And that all can be collected early on in your planning process. In addition to your planning process early, make sure students, if you're traveling abroad, know how to ask for assistance if you're somewhere that's not a primarily English-speaking destination. Also, when it comes to accessibility, ensure that any traveler who has to use crutches, wheelchair, otherwise, that those accommodations are properly met and thought out thoroughly ahead of time as well.
And then also ensure that your students know how to deter theft and keep track of their belongings. So, if they have a backpack or a purse, make sure their hands are on it at all times. Make sure credit and debit cards are kept somewhere safe. And then it's also important to have photography rules in place, making sure students are aware when it's appropriate to use or when they should be putting away their smartphones.
And sort of pivoting back to that early planning aspect, the early bird gets the worm, and this is not news to anyone who works in travel at all, but you'll also be in a good position if any pivots need to happen, which does sometimes happen with planning student travel. Work with the educator ahead of time to determine sort of what the purpose of the trip is to help plan their itinerary. Ask if it's performance-based, if it's purely educational, or if it's purely leisure. Figure out what their takeaways are, and you can sort of plan from there.
And one of the biggest perks of planning early is ensuring that you have time for fundraising, so that it expands the opportunities and different students that are able to join you on the trip.
Absolutely. Smaller crowds are also a huge benefit of planning early and looking at even the off-season time.
Yeah.
With school boards, that's a huge consideration with student travel. Be supportive of your educators by helping iron out the details that demonstrate preparedness and the benefits of student travel. Share the benefits with your potential client educator of working with a group tour operator and what that offers them, so they can in turn also present that to the school board. This includes policies related to COVID-19 and safety, which are, an increasing concern of parents and school boards taking students on the road.
Yes. And then emphasize that student travel is education. It's not separate from education. It is part of a great education. There is nothing like getting out there and seeing what you're learning about in person, whether it's, historic sites, arts, or live entertainment. And then socially, there are so many benefits for students to travel. And allowing students to travel allows them to expand their worldview and experience different cultures and perspectives, and it's just so beneficial all around.
Yeah, and conveying that is so huge.
Absolutely.
And lastly, but certainly not least, parent-educator collaboration is so huge in the student travel process. So sharing that with your educator clients, how they can best do that. Encourage educators to bring parents into the fold by including them in the process from the very beginning. Host meetings to share information and give them opportunities to ask questions, over communicate.
Absolutely.
Propose and discuss fundraising ideas, and even have a student or parent who has traveled with a student group before come back and share their experience, so that way they can sort of put any minds at ease because they've literally been in those shoes
Yeah.
before. That's huge. And cell phone policies too. Make sure you work with parents and
Yes.
encourage educators to establish that early on as well.
Educators also work to source chaperones, so that's something you're able to help with. So work with the educator or the group leader to create materials outlining the expectations from both the parents and the students.
Yes, that's a huge undertaking that can't be understated. The importance of it is huge. So keeping these considerations in mind, delving into the world of student travel can be highly rewarding and fulfilling for both your business and for the students who get to be affected by the benefits of travel. So we hope that some of these tips were helpful. If you'd like some more, feel free to head to groupstoday.com, subscribe to our eDaily and our bi-monthly magazine, and we'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.